it is actually daylight now, and you can see this truck a little bit better. The brakes were grinding. This side is not the bad side. However, brakes still had a little bit of life left in the pad. This was loose and kind of stuck in the caliper. Caliper appears to be okay. It's functioning correctly. We have the old stuff off. Again, this side wasn't the bad side. I'll get to that side here in just a minute. We got this cleaned up and kind of scrubbed as much as we can. If it was me, obviously, I would probably go through and go ahead and do suspension, stuff like that. But this truck is just not, he's wanting to, it's more of just a driver at times. It doesn't get driven often, and I don't know how much more money he wants to put into it. So he wanted functioning brakes. The brakes are grinding, and that's a safety issue. The joints could use it, but for now, we're just gonna go ahead and replace the brakes, as that is what the customer wants. And then we have 2 more spark plugs. Those came in. We'll get those finished up, and then this truck and the Dart Sport over here will be going to Tennessee. The owner had to leave town and needed that work done, so he left them both with me until pickup can pick them up. So we're gonna get that done. See if I can show you real quick how bad this you can't really see around the dust shield. I'll take it off and show y'all here in just a few minutes. All right, we got the bad side off. Luckily, the spindle is okay. It's not damaged. This back bearing was toast, and the looks like the seal was holding on by a thread. But as you can tell, that rotor is absolutely trashed. And this was the pad that was digging into it. So that is definitely the noise they were hearing, and I'm guessing it wasn't heard as easy due to the fact that it was just pretty much mated to it. It did not want to come loose, but we got the upper ball joint cleaned off, a few things cleaned off here, and I just realized when I've had these new rotors, and I realized the rest of my shipment for parts did not come in. So we are waiting on the mail. It should be here in a couple hours. So this is going to be a stopping point on the Dodge until those parts come in. We got new brake lines, calipers. We got all new parts for the rear as well. I was getting fluid to one side but not the other. We're going to go ahead and rebuild everything. Unfortunately, they lost my package in the mail for the wheel seals to finish that job. So we're going to have to pick that up whenever it gets in, or I'll just have to go find some more wheel seals. I'm going to try not to go in town today just because I have a limited amount of time. So we're going to try to get some of these parts on, probably starting with the brake lines, and then we'll go from there. But hopefully we have brakes good enough to go to Cars and Coffee coming up here in probably 2 weeks, or I think a week. Anyways, that's the goal now, since I missed the deadline for Taillight Tuesday with it. Can't go anywhere without brakes and without stopping, so we are going to continue on working on it. All right, absolutely every new line is on the front. We got these calipers as well. They're going to go on. I didn't think about it and didn't order the bearings, and well, I have the bearings. I didn't order the wheel seal for this as well, so I'm seeing a pattern between the Dodge and this. Wheel seals are my kryptonite apparently. But anyway, we're going to get this off. We have some drilled and slotted that were given to us. Well, we got it at swap meet. Did some horse trading on, so we're going to swap to those and some new pads and new hardware. Might as well while we're changing the calipers and everything else. So we're going to get on that, but we are waiting on the wheel seals, so that will probably have to happen another day. Okay, we have both calipers off. It started raining. Fun fact, if I take the day off from work, it rains no matter how little or lot it is. It always rains. We also had to spend some time today. I got some more rock for my driveway. It was kind of washed out in a few spots down there real bad. So we went ahead and got a new load. Not what I want to spend money on. Obviously cars would be better, but sometimes you got to pay to play, and it was getting kind of difficult to get up and down the driveway in certain areas. The freeze that we had a few weeks ago kind of made some potholes, and just kind of showed me how bad it was. So to try to help get out next time, if there is a next time, or just to make it a better ride, we're going to probably get some more work on this driveway at some point. But for now, we're waiting on wheel seals for the Dodge. We need wheel seals for this C10. We're going to try to get all that tomorrow while we're in town, when I go into town for work. and then we'll pick back up where we left off, try to get all these brakes sorted, get that one at least moved out of here, probably up on the hill for now till it gets picked up. That in the dark probably get moved just to save some space, and then try to get some of these other cars out of here. I need to finish stripping the Gran Torino. Man came, I guess the last video y'all saw that. They cut the back end out that he needed and a few pieces around that wheel well that were still decent. I may have a guy that's interested in the roof right now. If that falls through, I'm probably going to strip the rear end out and just start stripping it and then get it out of here. So there's still glass is good, and there's several good parts still. But hopefully I can get another night and put in some work on this C10. I intended on having everything done today, but kind of dropped the ball on a few things, and that's my fault. But that's how it goes. Can't ever have all the parts you need unless you just completely order everything. And once again, this is supposed to be a budget build. I was hoping I could get brakes by now, but no dice. So sometimes you gotta spend money on that, and can't really do anything without brakes. So all right, the only thing I didn't show y'all that I did not film, or I tried to film but it got messed up, is I did get the seat back in bolted in, and we have seat belts now. I ordered light blue. This is what came in, and they said I could send them back, or they just knocked a little money off. So budget build, I'm okay with a navy blue seat belts, but we have new lap belts. The other ones were too messed up to safely use and call them seat belts. So we have new lap belts all the way across, and the seat is bolted in. So eventually we'll get the rest of these parts. Those are rear brakes. We're going to finish the front brakes first, and then put wheels and tires back on, and then move to the back and go ahead and shuffle and get everything squared away, and then hopefully we have brakes. So it's going to be pushing it by next Saturday to get that done, but we're going to see what we can do. And the sun is going down, so it looks like it's going to be about all the time we have for today. I got to stop and get a few things done and get right back to work tomorrow. So we will see y'all next day. It's another day, and tracking never updated, but finally these got dropped off. The wheel seals for the brakes on this Dodge. So that is the last piece of this puzzle, minus the 2 spark plugs we still have to finish putting in to get this car done. So we're going to spend some time getting this done, and then we're going to move this truck out of the way and get it freed up some room down here, because we're kind of running low. We did sell the yellow, we'll say yellow, it was a factory yellow truck, C10, but it should be staying here for a little while. I'm going to help the person that bought it probably work on it, and then at some point we're gonna get back to this blue C10 and figure out why I don't have brakes. So I am still waiting on the wheel seals for that one, so most likely it'll be later in the week before we can do anything. We got this lovely Ford truck. It does not lack much from running and driving and then going to paint. They just need a little help, so we're gonna give it a little love, get it back to them, get it to paint, and then see what else we can do. All right, it is currently raining outside, so I can't get a whole lot done. That's partly my fault. Car's outside. Yes, I'm using the wagon as a workbench very carefully. These are the C10 front brake rotors that I was kind of essentially gifted. We have new calipers and all that stuff, so we're going to go ahead and put these on. The other ones are stove up pretty bad, so rather than turn them out, we're going to upgrade. To do that, we have to get bearings and all that stuff put in. So while it's raining, we're going to prep for that when it is good weather, so we can make that swap as quick as possible. So we're going to go ahead and put bearings and new wheel seals and everything like that in, and get these put on as soon as we can. Maybe it'll stop raining in the time being, and then if it does, we'll go ahead and get that put on the car, and we can go ahead and get that project completed. As you can see, we got a little Rust-Oleum job on the knuckles after I cleaned them, or the spindle anyway. The new slightly used rotor is on, and now it's just time to bolt up the rest of the caliper and everything else, and then move to the other side and finish it. And just like that, we have drilled and slotted front rotors, new pads, and new calipers, because I think the seals were blown out of the old ones, so we're just not going to take the risk. Nothing is worth the risk, especially when family gets in the truck or somebody else gets in the truck. So we got to hook the line back up and then do the other side, and then hopefully we bleed these brakes, and then we are good. We get some fluid moving through the front, and then we figure out what the back is doing as well. So hopefully we can get that knocked out here pretty soon. It's starting to kind of rain a little bit, so I may have to stop and pick back up on another day. All right, we are back at it, and we're gonna finish up. We got these 2 spark plugs in. That's new, that is old. As you can see, that is toast. We're gonna get these 2 spark plugs in, and then this should get picked up along with the dart that's down here on the end that I showed you on the last video. Both of those should be getting picked up and going to Tennessee with an owner. That one was storage, and then this one is the one I've been doing work on. If y'all been playing along and following me. Anywho, these will go get out of here. The Gran Torino is also gone, which was down here in this hole. And then obviously the Ford down there is the newest truck, and that's not ours. We're doing some work on it. I will get to that in just a minute as far as what all is going on with it. Had about 30 minutes and a friend of mine came over to help me with it. We found some good and some not so good, so we'll get into that here in just a minute. We're gonna get this finished up and get this probably moved just so I have more room, but we'll see where it ends up. All right, so let me get a better light. This truck behind me is one I picked up. That is some people that gave me a call. I had a recommendation from another friend of mine. It's kind of the reason it ended up here. Just nobody wants to work on some of this old stuff. They've had a few people flake out, so I told them, like, just bear with me. I'll get you in, just like I've been telling people. I didn't really disclose that I was doing side work again. It just kind of keeps coming up, so why not? This truck is obviously pretty nice. 50s Ford. It's pretty nice. It's going for paint. Long story short, it is not running correctly. Won't idle. Several issues. I was like, well, let me look at it. The shifter's not right for the park, reverse, neutral, all that stuff. It's just either neutral or I think it was in reverse. Neutral, reverse. Anyways, let me show you. It'll be easier. All right, so this is the underhood. As you can see, some wires are open. There's several things not hooked up, which is fine. A friend of mine came over and gave me a hand today, which was super excellent. I greatly appreciate Greg coming by and giving me a hand, because it's way easier with 2 people on some of the timing stuff and some of the fuel stuff. So this is a manual choke carb. That is not hooked up, which isn't a big deal. That can be hooked back up. Basically, some of this stuff is taken loose because it's going to paint. That being said, the underhood is not being painted, so we're gonna clean this wiring up, just make it a little bit neater. Some of these open circuits we're not gonna do anything with yet, because I don't know if it's needed or not for that relay. Some of this stuff is probably going to the gauges, so it probably needs a voltage difference. We're not gonna cut anything loose. Normally I would splice or get rid of some of this stuff out of the harness, but that's not the goal here. So we're gonna essentially clean up this wiring, just how chaotic some of it is. And then there is the temp sensor is missing, and I believe I've traced it back to it's this wire right here that was just laid up over here. Not a big deal. We'll get that sorted. But anyways, we're gonna clean the wiring up. They wanted me to put a Protronic system in the distributor, but then they would have to get the coil and also different wires to make that work correctly, and it's just not needed. With Greg here, we were able to get it in time. It was almost timed perfectly, minus the guts of it. It was off a little bit on the guts on the inside, so we got that straightened out. The points were, we got that straightened out. That was the main problem there. The biggest issue actually with this thing running is the fuel pump, which looks to be new, but was told it has been sitting up. I was told it just wasn't running, or it wasn't idle, and that's because it's not getting fuel correctly. So either the line's plugged, the fuel pump's bad, which is what I'm leaning toward. Essentially, we had it running perfectly from a different system. We took the fuel pump off, and well, didn't take the fuel pump. We took the line loose, ran a different stuff. Anyway, it ran and idled perfectly. So that tells me that the fuel pump's bad, or there's something clogged in the lines. Given that there's nothing in that filter system right there, I doubt it's a clog in the line. All the lines are not pinched, Everything looks okay as far as bends or anything like that. I don't see any glaring issues. So most likely it's going to be that pump. So we're going to get a fuel pump put in it. We're going to hook the choke back up for now in the cab just so it can be utilized when they're cranking it. They wanted me to put the Readiness system in there, and then I just told them it's not necessary. It's running great as is, so there's no point in spending money on wires and a new coil when all this stuff is new anyway. So fuel pump, and it should run perfectly. They wanted me also, let me see, get a better view. They wanted me to also put a CBP power steering pump kit. The biggest issue is this truck never had a Cleveland in it. Nobody could confirm. Well, I finally got confirmation, but nobody could tell me if that pump or the gearbox was actually going to fit with this Cleveland and how the exhaust drops. It is not going to fit and clear. Unfortunately, they have power steering pump on this motor, but we are not going to be able to put that in there. As you can tell, I'm not sure if you can see that nut, but that nut is actually about a nickel short of the header. That's how close it is. And the gearbox pushes way over past that. So there's just no feasible way. The kit also requires that you start cutting the frame to make it fit, and we just don't. I don't feel comfortable even guessing to cut the frame to try to get it to work. It's just not a risk I'm wanting to take. So we're not going to put that on. I suggested a quick ratio manual steering box for that. As a you know, kind of a bridge the gap a little bit. It's unfortunate, but I just don't see a way of getting power steering in here short of changing the suspension to make it work, or changing the entire steering column and pushing it up. There's just it's going to end up changing, spending unnecessary money for no reason. So for now, they're going to send that kit back, recover their money on that. Let me show you the other problem. The shifter they had in here was lengthened by somebody else, and it actually, they welded pot metal, which is never good. Unfortunately, it broke. It wasn't until after it broke that we looked at it and noticed, where is it? Right, if you catch the light just right, if it'll focus. They lengthened this, they added about 2 or 3 inches into it, and the pot metal just didn't like the welding on, so it actually broke. But the underside of where it mounts is not correctly done, and it's missing a lot of parts. So we're gonna get a different shifter and put this in here and make it work for them. And then obviously all this stuff is taken loose for paint, so they can paint the interior as well. So that is pretty much where we're at. So we're going to get a new shifter in, make sure it works park, reverse, neutral in the lower gears. This one's just not going to work. There's too many parts missing. And then given the shifter handle, I was going to just replace the handle, but the guts there's a lot of stuff missing in the bottom, so I just don't feel comfortable using that. If it breaks off going down the road, you're stuck in that gear. So could change the handle, but again, there's guts on the bottom side that need replacing. Stuff's bound up and it's not correct. I just don't want to go behind somebody's work also. It's just not great. So we're going to change that out. And then the last thing is the parking brake over here is not working, and we haven't had a chance to look at it yet to see what the deal is. So it worked before they put it up on jack stands, which has been a little while. So that is kind of where we're at with this truck. And I know that was long-winded, but there's a lot going on. It's been raining, so I haven't had a chance. I've had this truck a few days now, have not had a chance to get to it. Like I said, it's in pretty nice shape. The paint on it's not bad. It's what I would consider a driver quality job. It's probably painted in the 80s maybe by somebody else, but I don't know the full story on that. But again, we'll get it running as is. And just to make a long wind of that, you don't have to spend a ton of money on parts for something to run correctly. Obviously there's things that you can do to upgrade and make things nicer, but not necessarily going to make you any more power or make anything better. So with this setup particularly, this will run as is. We just need a fuel pump that works and the choke cable hooked up. It's unfortunate we can't get the power steering box to work, but it's just not going to. See if I can get a better image. Yeah, you can see the nut touching the header almost right there. There's just not any room in there with how this motor is mounted in. And again, nobody will confirm or deny that pump will fit, mainly because there's no way it will. So it is what it is, and that's the end of it. So we will update y'all as we get more work done on this thing. I'll try to put a video of maybe us driving up my driveway or something. I don't really care to drive customers' vehicles too far. Just too much can go wrong with somebody else hitting me or something like that. I don't really want to. So up and down the driveway, getting it to idle, and then we are going to take this back to the customer, and then they're going to get it ready for paint. And then hopefully, maybe down the line, if they want me to do some more work on it, we will try. But for now, we have a punch list, and we're going to get this done and out of here, and then on to the other stuff. So the C10, I'm going to try to get some work done on tonight as well. First things first, we're going to get this wiring cleaned up. And then after that, we will see if we got time for the C10 stuff. I got some new goodies in. All right. Last little update before I order some parts to get this going. Talked to the owner. They're good with me with my plan of getting new spark plugs, getting a new fuel pump, and then getting a new shifter to make this work. As you can see, we cleaned up the wiring. Nothing's out over here running ridiculous now besides just the wires. We tucked everything kind of low and kind of hid everything with this black. It's up higher on the firewall, but I wanted to also keep it away from the throttle linkage. I'm not sure if they're keeping that relay or not, so for now that's just there. If they decide to get rid of it, that's fine. But yeah, everything's nice and tucked and hidden a little bit better with the black. So from far off, it kind of fades into the distance. Obviously, I have a light on it, but that is the goal, just to clean that wiring up. It was just kind of chaotic and everywhere. And now it's all tucked in, nice and neat. So we're gonna get some parts ordered and revisit this another day. We had a minute to work on the C10, and as you see, that is nice and shiny and not a quadrijet. After putting the rebuilt quadrijet on there, I did not have power. It was basically a manual choke and some other factors. It just wasn't wanting to behave right no matter what I did. So, you know, I got impatient, and now we have a nice shiny polycarb with nice features on it. So should run right. Decided I was going to leave this here for now and try to rebuild it, but this thing is massive and it's all in the way, so I'm just going to remove it for now and take it out of the engine bay. This will free up a little bit of room just to let me finish these spark plugs, and then I can decide later what I'm going to do with the AC. It's a factory AC cab, so it shouldn't be hard to hook that up. Just have to put new stuff under the hood. So for now, we're going to remove that and just move it out of the engine bay. So that is my next step, and that should help me clean up some of this other stuff over here as well. And then we can get this thing popped over, hopefully get brakes for it, and hopefully run. So that is the goal still, but this has got to go for now. All right, as you can hear, this motor's back alive. The AC stuff is gone out of the way for now. She's running under her own power finally. Gonna make some small adjustments probably, just and check over a few things. I know it's kind of loud, and I apologize. I don't have my mic on me. It's late and cold, but here we go. She is running. That is what victory looks like. Sounds very healthy. as y'all could see, it ran, it idled, it sounded really, really good. I started getting, I let it get up to operating temp. It was running great. The gauge is not working, but everything seems to be in order. I started getting a lot of smoke from over in this area, but at first there was a lot of oil up here that I thought was just burning off from the valve covers. It definitely needs gaskets and the valve covers changed out. I let it run for a little while longer after I shut it off, cleaned it all off, let it run for a little bit longer, and then realized that I think it's actually coming from the donut gasket area, which that wire is a little too close, but that's all right. It's actually coming from the donut gasket area, so we're going to climb under there and see if we can put a little bit of tight on it, and then if that doesn't do it, then we'll have to replace the donut gasket. Not a big fan of these manifolds anyway, so these might get changed at some point, but again, we're trying to get this thing running as is, as little as possible. Again, I know I spent money on a car. The only thing it matches under the hood is the new master cylinder, which we had to have as well. So far, the water pump looks like it's not leaking, and the radiator looks like it's okay. And the intake, I had a little bubble over here, but then I remembered that I took this bolt out over here for the AC bracket to remove all that. There's still some more stuff we can take out for the AC stuff, but for now, this will do enough to at least get us by. So this gets us all that out of the way. It wasn't good anyway. The AC compressor was locked up, so it doesn't do any good sitting here. Let's walk back here and look at it. That also weighed, felt like 15-20 pounds by the time all this stuff was over here. So for now, it's just going to sit back here. But yeah, that's unnecessary, so we're just going to take it out for now. We're going to crawl under here so we can put a little bit of tight on that donut gasket if we can and get it to clean up. Then we'll send it. If not, then we'll get some new donut gaskets or consider changing the actual headers themselves, or manifolds, whatever you want to call them. But that's the plan right now, so let's get to that. Alright, so far it seems to have fixed that issue, that smoke. I'm not counting it out because that gasket's probably toast. It's cheap, it's just a pain to replace, so yeah, this thing's running like a sewing machine.